Mexican rioters are kicking Americans out of their country. Look at this. This is crazy. This is happening in Mexico City.
Our video of the day comes to us from Mexico City, where rioters looted businesses and harassed tourists in protest of Westerners immigrating to their country and driving up prices.
Some of these protest signs are so on the nose that I had to make sure I wasn't being swindled by AI. Gringo, stop stealing our home. Your new home is an invasion. Learn Spanish, respect our culture, pay effing taxes. Spanish is spoken here. Gringo, I want you to go back to your country, not your home. Pay taxes, learn Spanish, respect my culture.
So Mexicans are calling for the mass deportation of American citizens back to America out of Mexico. And they're not being called racist, they're being called patriots. Why is that? Here's a quick word from today's video sponsor, CB Distillery. I've been using CBD oils for years. If you're still tossing and turning all night and feeling edgy during the day, let me tell you about CBD from CB Distillery. Millions are turning to CBD for relief. It works, it's fast, and over 90% of the customers report better sleep with CBD. And it's not about just sleep. CBD offers targeted formulations for just about everything. Sleep, stress, mood, focus, pain, and exercise. They even have a CBD for pets. And it's all made with the highest quality, clean ingredients, no filters, just premium CBD. And with over 2 million satisfied customers and a 100% money-back guarantee, CB Distillery is the source you can trust. If you're struggling with sleep, stress, and other health concerns and haven't found relief, make the change like millions of others to CBD from CB Distillery. Now here's the bottom line. You can save up to 25% off your entire purchase when you visit cbdistillery.com and use promo code NATE, N-A-T-E. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code N-A-T-E. Specific product availability depends on your individual state regulations. Now, back to the video. So what's going on in Mexico? Why are they rioting in the streets, claiming Mexico's for Mexicans and send the Americans back to America? So let me break it down for you. Mexico has had a huge influx of American citizens who have relocated to Mexico. They're called digital nomads. So what's a digital nomad? Well, that's an individual who works remotely, leveraging technology and the internet to earn a living.
Even before the pandemic, nearly 8 million Americans were already digital nomads. The tech revolution had allowed them to leave the office behind. Many are entrepreneurial millennials, piecing together freelance gigs anywhere in the world, as long as there's Wi-Fi.
Some common examples of digital nomads are content creators like YouTubers, online entrepreneurs, software developers, people like that. Now, the important part about being a digital nomad is that your job requires just an active internet connection and a computer, which allows you the freedom to live wherever you want in the world that has that internet connection. Now, in choosing where they want to live, digital nomads generally choose third world countries where the dollar goes a lot further. As an example, the average price for a one-bedroom apartment in New York is approximately $4,000 a month. Where if you go to Mexico City, you can get a bigger apartment in a better neighborhood for about $650 a month. So if you're a digital nomad, your money goes a lot farther in Mexico City than it does in New York City. Matter of fact, it goes farther in Mexico than most cities in the United States. So now, with this mass influx of digital nomads, they essentially rose prices in Mexico City. Think about it. If you're a digital nomad and you go and you find a great apartment and they're renting it for $650, and there are 3 or 4 people who want to rent that apartment, you can offer $1,000 a month. Why? Because you're used to paying $4,000 a month, so $1,000 a month is a still great discount to you. But now the people who live in Mexico City, the hardworking citizens of Mexico, can't afford that type of increase. And as more digital nomads move down to Mexico City, the prices rise. In some areas, prices have doubled, even tripled, because people are willing to pay more.
Protesters say the newcomers have driven up rents beyond the reach of locals.
Principalmente si van a vivir
If they're going to live in a country, they have to contribute to that country. The first and simplest issue is legal migration. They come here with visas or no visas, and still the change in purchasing power generates these problems of gentrification and displacement.
The government is directing its public policies towards people with higher purchasing power, often illegally displacing local populations who have lived in these neighborhoods for 40, 50, and we have even documented cases of up to 60 years. In 5 years, rents have increased by 47%. This is violent for the local population. We are debating whether to pay for electricity, water, or food. Of course, we choose to eat.
Now, most digital nomads go to Mexico on short-term visas, which allow you to stay in Mexico for about 6 months. Now, after that 6-month period, you're supposed to leave Mexico and then come back. That essentially restarts the clock. Now, there is no waiting period between trips. So you can stay for 6 months, go back to the United States for 2 weeks, and then come back to Mexico and stay another 6 months. Now, that's caused the citizens there in Mexico to get very upset and say things like, "Get out, gringos," and "Mexico is for Mexicans." Here is a clip.
All of this is causing some backlash. You see graffiti like this that says "Fuera gringo," which means "get out, gringo."
Remote workers are flooding into Mexico City for long periods of time.
So many people are like nomadic workers now, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna go live in Mexico City for 4 months and live at an Airbnb.
But there is backlash.
Prices have become so high that very few of us can actually afford to stay in these cities.
But what happens when prices surge and they push out locals?
Now you can be an Airbnb throughout the entire year, so there is no restrictions, there is no rent control. It's inflating prices at the port.
And what happens if English replaces Spanish?
In this neighborhood, you'll see restaurants like this, where on the outside, it's written in English: fish tacos and chips. All you need is nails. Sale 30% off on selected items.
They are getting angry because they don't know how to speak English. We don't have to learn how to speak English. If you're coming to Mexico, we speak Spanish.
Now think about the hypocrisy in this whole thing. See, my liberal friends will tell you that if I say something like, "Hey, if you come to America, learn English," or "If you're illegally here, go back to Mexico. Don't come here and change our culture," they would say that I'm being racist. But now in Mexico, those Mexicans are saying the same thing about us Americans. "You're changing our culture. We don't want to learn English. We speak Spanish here. If you're going to come here, learn Spanish." So what makes it different? Why is it different when Mexico are trying to kick out Americans to go back to America, but when Americans try to kick out Mexicans to go back to Mexico, it's racism, it's xenophobia. Now, all this came to a head when Mexican citizens took to the streets and started destroying their own neighborhoods and saying things like, "Get out, Americans, send them back, deport them, deport the Americans." Here is a clip of the riots.
These protesters in Mexico City say cross-border migration is changing their country's capital for the worse. Over the last decade, an influx of mostly American so-called digital nomads have moved here to work remotely and also enjoy a cheaper cost of living.
Now, you guys don't appreciate how crazy this is. We have Mexicans in the United States protesting in the streets, burning cars in California to stay in the United States. But then on the flip side, you got Mexicans protesting in Mexico to kick the Americans out of Mexico. So, in other words, the Mexicans who are in the United States want a free pass. They want to stay here in the United States. But if Americans then go to Mexico and do the same thing, kick them out of Mexico. It's insane. And then the Mexicans who are in the United States have the nerve to not only demand that they stay in the United States, they have the audacity to protest waving the American flag. Why don't the Americans do that in Mexico? You see what I'm talking about here? Check out this clip.
I personally have family members who are immigrants and used to be and fought for my rights to be here. So we have every right to be here, and he shouldn't be sending anybody back.
I'm marching out today to help everybody that I love. Look, these are all my people. She's Mexican, she's Mexican. This is all my family too. You know, we all stick together.
After sweeping immigration raids sparked protests and clashes tonight, a U.S. official now confirming to ABC News 700 Marines are now on their way to Los Angeles to join California's National Guard, which was deployed by the president, not that state's governor.
Angry over the Trump administration's immigration policies and arrests. Over the past 72 hours, pockets of LA descending into chaos. Protesters setting cars on fire, dumping bikes and scooters on police cruisers on the highway. Law enforcement firing hundreds of flashbangs and non-lethal projectiles and making dozens of arrests.
So what's the bottom line? The bottom line is, if you're an American, you go to Mexico, they're saying kick them out, go back to your home country, go back to the United States, Mexico for Mexicans, and learn to speak Spanish if you come here. And then when the Mexicans come to the United States, they have a right to stay. We can't kick them out. And if you say to send them back to their own country or to learn English, you're a racist. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. I really want you guys to tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section, because to me, this is utterly insane. They're literally kicking Americans out of Mexico and clapping and protesting. We need to kick more of them out. But we kick Mexicans out of the United States and we're the bad guys? We're doing the same thing they're doing. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Maybe I'm just too emotional over this, but I believe immigration is a good thing. I believe if you do it legally, I got no issue with you, but there are rules to the game. There are rules in Mexico to the game. And those rules here in the United States need to be adhered to too. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe to the great YouTube stuff. My name is NateTheLawyer. I'm out. Peace.